Hey guys, it's Alyssa, the hopeless romantic redhead.
And I'm Danielle, the whodunit detective.
And welcome to Main Character Syndrome. If you feel like you are the main character in your life, you are in the right place. Our podcast is looking a little different today, as you can
Oh
see. Hi,
my.
Danielle.
Hi, Alyssa. Long time no see.
I know. So, if you guys didn't listen to the last podcast, I actually moved to St. Louis, Missouri. And so
Boo.
Danielle is still in Springfield, but we are not going to quit this podcast. So, we decided to take it remote.
Yeah, we're doing it remote now. We're kind of running through the problems right now. And the current problem is I look like a ghost trying to figure out all of like the lighting now that I had to like buy my own equipment and we're using new software and stuff. So,
Mhm.
a little different, but I think we're gonna get through this and it's gonna be great.
As long as we sound good, you guys will let us know.
Yeah, right?
All right, so we are going to continue our journey into Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas with the
First,
prequel book Assassin's Blade.
first, I need your main character moment because I literally haven't seen you in a week.
Oh, that's true. How could
Or
I
two.
skip over that? All right, it's time for our main character moment. So, my main character moment obviously was moving to St. Louis and leaving Danielle behind. So,
I
that's kind
know.
of a sad one.
How has that been?
It has been really fun. I really like the city that I live in, and I don't live in St. Louis, so it's not that dangerous, guys. Don't worry, I'm not gonna get shot on the sidewalk. I ended up living in Chesterfield.
Oh, great. What's your address?
Yeah, right. What's my address? What's my social security number? Unless you're gonna send me books, don't worry about
Yeah, right.
it.
Well, cool. I'm excited for you. I can't wait to come up and visit.
Yeah, what's your
Um,
main character moment?
oh gosh, let me tell you, I've had a crap week. Like,
Aw.
oh my gosh. You moved at just the perfect time. Like last week, I was on the morning shift all week, waking up at oh gosh, like 1:45, I think, in the morning. I don't even know, like every day. I'm working 6 days a week right now. So it's kind of a lot. That's my main character moment.
You're a girl
It's not
boss.
it's not a good yeah, it's not a good one, but I'm totally girl bossing right now.
Yeah.
I'm back on my normal shift, so that's kind of great.
Hey, there you go. And we've had a lot of tornadoes lately, so you've
Oh
been
my gosh.
busy.
Yeah, actually, no, that's my real main character moment was like a tornado warning right into the city of Springfield last week, and
Yeah.
going wall to wall live for 2 hours, being kind of like the quote unquote like head of the severe weather coverage, like working the green wall. But I had like a whole team of people helping me, which I really needed their help.
That's awesome.
But
Well, good for you. It's so hard to talk for 5 minutes, let alone 2 hours. So
like a
you are
little over
definitely
two
main character.
hours. I was like, oh my gosh, people are probably so tired of my voice.
Oh, I hear that. All right. Getting into Throne of Glass once again by Sarah J. Maas. Also, can we talk about the mania of book 6 of ACOTAR and how everybody thought that it was going to get an announcement or dropped on the 10th anniversary of ACOTAR?
Yeah, I was like so confused. I was like, why is everyone freaking out?
They did the same thing last year too. They were like, ACOTAR 6 is coming out. It's like, guys, she hasn't made an announcement yet.
When is she going to though? That's the real question. Like, come on. Come on,
I don't
Sarah.
know.
Like, we love you, we respect you, but I mean, that's been a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully soon. She did say that she was working on book 6 before I think she's going to do another Crescent City book,
Mm.
which that's interesting. But you have not read that series yet.
No, I
So
haven't.
that's a story for another time. All right, getting into Throne of Glass once again, we are talking about the prequel Assassin's Blade. Now, there's a lot of controversy around this book because some people read it in the publishing order, which would be the third book that you read in the series. And then some people say you should read it first. So, Danielle, what were your thoughts?
After reading it, I was like, no, you have to read this first.
Hmm.
Like I am now a diehard. I get it. I get the hype. I'm like, no, you have to read this one first. Like this one, I mean, because we've been doing this podcast and we already know I'm going to spoil what happens in book one and book two, but because we've already talked about it in our prior episodes, but we already know that Sam dies.
Uh-huh.
So like that's not a surprise at all in this book, and like you're just waiting for that to happen during the whole book. I would have loved to have read this first and like have gone through like that heartache and like the emotional turmoil that would have been sweet Sam dying. Like you need to read this first.
Yeah, I can see, and we'll talk a little bit more about it at the end when we talk about our thoughts and feelings and emotions. I understand why this would be like the third book you would read in the publishing order if you're someone who likes parallels.
Mm-hmm.
If you can be like connecting that to the story, because there are so many in this book
Oh
that
yeah.
I caught that you probably don't know yet because some of them will come later in the series. But I was like, oh, I remember that. So,
Well,
but
my
I can
younger
understand
sister.
like people wanting to like experience the story for the first time and meet Selena and Sam and Arobyn. Think Arobyn's a good guy. Think Sam and Selena are going to be forever and then get their heart ripped out.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
that's
my
a
younger
dream.
sister, she read it all and she was like, "No, you need to read it first." She's like, "But then you need to reread it again." Like later on in the series, I can't remember before which book. It may have been the last book or the second to last, but she was like, "No, you need to reread it again because there's so many characters in this book that come up again in the future." And that's
Hmm.
kind of like I knew that that would happen anyways before she told me that, but I was like a lot of these people, there's a reason for all of these stories. So, and like even in the first and second book, she references things in this book. So like little like, oh, I stole a horse once, and then we get that story, you know. So,
There are so many characters too that we're introduced to that come in later in the series that your brain will pick up if you've read the series beforehand, or if
no,
you've
I'm
at
really
least read a
excited to
couple.
see who comes up. I have theories about who for sure does, and so we can
Hmm.
talk about those in the coming episodes. But
Yep.
I really love this book. I liked it a lot.
I really liked it up until the end, and we will talk about that.
Okay.
But first, we're going to talk about, of course, Assassin's Blade. So it is the prequel to the Throne of Glass series. This book is about Selena Sardothian's life before she was sent to Endovir in book one, Throne of Glass. We'll be introduced to Sam Cortland and see his history and story with Selena, and also Arobyn Hamel, her mentor and keeper, who is just a great guy.
Love him.
So awesome.
Big old snuggle buddy, right?
Oh, yeah. Like
Okay.
a father figure.
So we'll go ahead and we'll jump into kind of part one, which begins the assassin and the pirate lord. And chapter one, it kind of just jumps right into it. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden there's this meeting. It's an all male meeting, except Selena Sardothian, who's this 16-year-old girl. And this meeting consists of the seven most trusted companions of Arobyn Hamel, the head of the assassins. The meeting is to kind of talk about one of their assassins, Gregory, being caught and held captive in the castle. Which actually, now that I think about it, we don't really get a lot about Gregory, so maybe he'll come back up in the future. I don't know. Anyways, her friend and her kind of other mentor aside from Arobyn, his name is Ben, and we learn that he was killed on that mission and that he and Gregory were betrayed. However, Ben wasn't supposed to be on that mission though, so we're like, why was he there and how did he get killed? And then the meeting's kind of like, what do we do? Gregory was captured and he's in the castle. And Selena's like, well, protocol says to kill him. We have to sneak him. And Sam's like, no, absolutely not. And we kind of just start to learn a lot of information immediately about Sam. Um, he is the son of an old courtesan. His mother has passed away, but yeah, she used to be a courtesan. And that we have Sam and Selena, little enemies. And Selena thinks that he's jealous of her. And then we, of course, learn that Selena is Arobyn's prodigy and heir. And then Selena's all pissed off. Her and Sam fight and they're like, we're not going to go get Ben's body. It's too dangerous. We couldn't get it. And she's like, no, I'm going to go get Ben's body, which was like hanging outside the castle. And so she runs out of the house and goes and gets his body.
This book is quite graphic with
Mm.
torture and murder, by
Yeah.
the way. So a little bit of a trigger warning. But yeah, no, I love the beginning. You can just tell in the first chapter that we're going to get an enemies to lovers arc. And I actually didn't see it coming that Sam and Selena would be enemies. So that was kind of fun to see.
Yeah, I agree.
And then Selena is, of course, a certified baddie. Um, Going back, so we're going to do this episode in two parts. We're going to do the assassin and the pirate lord, and then the assassin and the healer. Then episode two is going to be the assassin in the desert, then the assassin in the underworld. And then episode three is going to be the assassin in the empire, and then our final thoughts. So that is kind of the structure of this book in this podcast.
Yes.
Jumping to chapter two, Sam and Selena sail to Skulls Bay to get retribution from Captain Rolfe, which is the pirate lord, to get the retribution for three dead assassins, according to Arobyn. Selena starts doing what she does best, which is being a snoop, and sits in the captain's chair while Sam loses his ever loving mind. Rolfe then enters and finds it amusing. It seems Arobyn lied to Selena, shocker, about why they were sent here, and they are actually really picking up slaves, which disgusts Selena. It will take a while, so Selena and Sam will stay for the night in a room with two beds at Selena's request. It's kind of
Oh,
funny, too, where he's like, we're sleeping in the same room. Like, she's like, we only need one room. And Sam kind of looks at her, and Rolfe is kind of like, and she's like, two beds, duh.
yeah. Yeah, that was funny. And then we jump to chapter 3. Oh, and I will say, I mean, gosh, just throughout like the whole beginning of this series, book 1, book 2, and now Assassin's Blade, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we're like seeing like Selena as she is, like so arrogant. And
Yeah,
like
she's so cocky.
I have to kind of get over that character flaw because like it starts to get old. Like in chapter 3, she's like, "Ooh, like these quarters, they're not up to my standard. Does he not know who I am?"
You
I
definitely see her taste for luxury in this book.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So in chapter 3, Sam and Selena, like you just said, they're both kind of like in the dark about this slave trade and why they were actually sent there. We see that Selena's so full of herself and she doesn't like the quarters because she's like, I deserve more. And then Selena thinks about how Ben, who she was really close to, he was older and, like I said, kind of a mentor. But she does say later on that he was like kind of, she had a little bit of a crush on him when she was younger too. But says that Ben would have been completely against this plan of Arabins for the slave trade and that Ben would have never let that happen. So I made a note here. I'm like, so is that why Ben died? Like,
Mhm.
is
I'm
there
wondering
some?
if Arobyn didn't set him up.
Yeah, I totally think that happened. So Ben's dead. If he was alive, this wouldn't have happened with the slave trade. And then Selena, she's in disguise. So obviously, like, no one can know the face of Selena Sardathian. Everyone knows that she's a female, but no one knows what she looks like. So no one can identify her. And no one knows that she's like this young 16-year-old girl. And they're sitting there at the dinner table and she can't eat because she has to wear her mask. And
And
it's
she's
like,
like sweating buckets.
yeah, she's like, this is miserable. And like, of course, they made like this really great, luxurious meal, and she's like in misery. And so she's kind of snarky and she brings up to Rolf kind of he has a magic map on his hands. So she kind of brings that up and he kind of snaps back to her and is like, well, this map, which is supposed to show pirate like treasure and stuff like that, it hasn't moved in 8 years since magic disappeared.
Mhm.
And then the pirate lord says that he got to be the best by killing everyone else around him that was better. And then he warns her to watch out for Sam.
Hmm. Yeah, Rolf is an interesting character. You kind of like him in a way, but he's definitely like a dirty pirate.
Yeah, I mean, he has slaves. So
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah. All right, chapter four. Selena talks with Rolf about the slave trade, and Selena is trying to figure out how to ruin this deal without getting caught. She's going to the holding place that night with him to check it out. Rolf says someday Selena's arrogance will get her in trouble, and this is what I flagged as foreshadowing because it definitely does
yeah.
multiple times. Sam is wondering what she's up to. and they grew up together, so he knows she's scheming. So right here, I'm like, oh, he pays attention to her. There's some chemistry there and tension, lots of tension.
Yeah, at least like a bit of flirtation, or like not like flirtation, but like admiration, I should say. Kind of like, I keep my eyes on you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's maybe a little bit more. And then in chapter 5, she's taken to the slave holding cells by Rolf, and she's in there and she's just like immediately pissed. She's so angry about how these slaves are treated, their journey here. Several of them have died on the way. And then we learn that Otterlin also buys slaves for their camps on top of capturing them as war criminals. So she walks into the ocean after this whole experience and she's just so mad. And Sam follows her into the ocean, kind of, and she starts fighting with him. And then's like, I need your help. I need your help. We're going to set them free. And he doesn't know that they can do it, but he agrees to what she's saying and says that we probably are going to die and they might as well die doing a noble cause. And then Sam suggests that they run away afterwards to avoid the wrath of Arobyn. And then Sam suggests that there's a secret plan for all of us for why the two of them were sent. He's like, it doesn't make sense. We were not needed to do this mission. Why were you and me sent here? And he's kind of asking these hard questions. It's like, we've been gone a month. Why did they need us to be gone a month, you and me? And so he thinks that they were sent there basically to get them out of the city for something secret.
Yeah, it's kind of suspect. And Arobyn's very slimy, as we know, so he's definitely up to no good.
Yeah.
Chapter 6, Selena and Sam inspect, quote unquote, inspect the slaves. Then they find some died on the journey. Selena asks if anyone speaks a common tongue and finds Dia, who can speak fluent, whatever their language is. Selena says that this is good later. And her plan is in motion when they're opening like a celebratory bar tab open courtesy of Arobyn to distract the pirates while she and Sam row out to save the slave ships. And this is actually really interesting and really smart of her to be like, okay, I'm going to get everybody drunk. So at least they're a little bit impaired if they come after us.
Mm-hmm. So she gets on the boat and she knocks out all of the guards in chapter 7 and she ties up the captain of the boat. Then she goes to the slave quarters and asks for Dia, the person who can translate for her, and she gives everyone the key to unlock themselves because they're all chained up. The captain has been ordered to take them out of the bay and to safety the next morning, or she'll kill him. And there is a chain at the entrance of the bay that must be taken down by her and Sam in order for the slaves to be able to escape. And that's like one of the most important parts. So like if that chain isn't gone, then
Mm-hmm.
their ship will basically crash and everyone will drown.
Yeah, and then we get to chapter 8. Selena and Sam get all the pirates drunk and rowdy at the tavern. Selena then asks Rolf if he really sold his soul for the map on his hand, and he said he'll tell her the truth if she shows her face, and she definitely won't, so she'll never know. Selena then trips a pirate and starts an all-out brawl as a distraction for her and Sam to slip away, but they get caught by Rolf.
So they're arguing with Rolf outside of the bar, and he's kind of like, I'm on to you. Like, you started that fight. Now, why are you leaving? And then all of a sudden, in front of his eyes, that slave ship starts moving, and he realizes what she's done. And to try to distract him, she all of a sudden takes off of her mask and shows him who Selena Sardothien is. And
Mm-hmm.
he immediately is in shock. He thinks it's a trick and is like, she's so young. And then Ralph begins to holler for his men to get to their positions and stop them. And Sam immediately runs to go try to get the chain up at the watchtower. Selena and Rolf begin to fight, and then we learn that Selena has disabled all of the ships so that they can't easily catch up to the slave ship if they make it out. But the pirates start catching up with Sam, who's running away, and then she begins to panic as she's all kind of like fighting Ralph as she realizes that the chain is going to be too heavy for just one person to move. And then Sam, realizing that also, he actually goes to a catapult and faces the watchtower where the chain is held, and then lets the catapult go, and he's then stabbed by a pirate. And then part of the tower ends up falling from the shot from the catapult onto the landing where Sam was. And fortunately, the chain is lifted and the slaves are able to make it out. And Selena sees all of this happen and she's like panicking. She doesn't want Sam to be dead. And then all of a sudden, Ralph has a knife to her.
Hmm. Then, chapter 10, Rolf catches Selena angry because of how much he cost him in slaves and ale, as she said. But she is too quick for him, and she quickly turns the tables on him and has him at knife point. This is where we get classic Selena Sardothian. She makes Rolf sign two letters, one to Arobyn saying the deal is off and warning him of buying any slaves from others. And then the second one is a decree that he is done with the slave trade business and he will hunt down and kill anyone who deals in slaves. And that Skulls Bay is once again a haven to all slaves and refugees. And she wants a ship to get them back.
Wow.
And then she gets him to do this by saying she'll forge his signature with his seal ring she stole from his office. Remember, she stole something from the office after she kills him, and he begrudgingly signs the documents. Then she goes to find Sam. They share an intimate moment with a sweet hug, and they go back home. This is another kind of tried and true Selena moment where it's like she is clever and
Hmm.
cocky at the same time, which again could get her in trouble.
Yeah, so ballsy. Then we jump into part two immediately, the assassin and the healer. This was kind of a shorter one, and I if I wouldn't think that it was necessary really to this book if I didn't think that maybe the main character outside of Selena probably didn't come back in another book. So we'll
She
see.
may and she may not. I don't know.
Yeah, she may not, but that's my prediction because I'm like, why kind of put this chapter in here if not? But chapter one, or this part in here, but chapter one begins. Selena is staying at a hotel called the White Pig in the port town of Inish. And it's like this crap hole of a town. Like Arobyn has sent her here to wait on another ship to take her somewhere else, and she is being punished. I will say she's already been punished, and we'll learn about that. But she's being punished in this what she would like call like a shithole of a town. And Irene is a waitress at this hotel called the White Pig. It's what would you call it? I mean, I would call it like a hotel with like a bar underneath, maybe, but
Yeah,
it
it's
has
like an inn with a tavern.
yeah, exactly.
Think of like
So
medieval days. It's a hole in the wall,
yeah.
like a dive
And
bar. There you go.
yeah. And so Irene is a waitress and she's kind of there watching her and she's from another town. But she's found herself here at the White Pig now. And Selena's sitting there at this tavern and she has on all of these really flashy jewels. And she's just kind of like asking for trouble, like being surrounded by all of these like men. And Irene is mistreated there at her work. So she says basically that the owner takes half of her tips and the other waitress there takes another portion just because she's mean. And Selena's, like I mentioned, in that town is basically a punishment for ruining her master's Arabin's slave trade deal. And she's there waiting for a ship that we know to take her somewhere else. And then Selena kind of knows and she can feel that the other men in the bar are eyeing her. And they're kind of like thinking about robbing her, like robbing this like young girl. So she wants a fight. It's very obvious.
Hmm.
And it's noted that she has been beaten and she's all cut up and bruised from Arobyn punishing her when she got home.
It's amazing how many men underestimate Selena in this series.
Oh, yeah.
Chapter 2, Irene sees a mysterious girl sitting at one of her tables, and we know it's Selena. She feels the mood shift towards violence in the tavern and debates whether or not to warn Selena of the mercenaries surrounding her, as her mother, who was a healer from Fen Harrow and killed by Adarlan's soldiers, would have done. She longs for freedom outside the bar. Who else longs for freedom? Selena. Selena, as we know, is unbothered by these men and she seeks adventure to take her mind off things, again, looking for a fight. Later, Irene encounters the mercenaries in the alley behind the tavern on her walk home. Before they can do what they obviously intended to her, Selena swoops in and saves the day.
And so we find in the next chapter, Irene and Selena are there with the attackers. Selena just, she takes them out fast. And another man who's there kind of runs away. And she ends up saving Irene from these four men. And in the process, she does find herself cut. And Irene offers to patch her up, saying that her mother was a healer and she kind of learned from her and she wanted to be a healer.
Mhm. Chapter 4, Irene is tending to Selena's wounds, and while she's cautious about bringing in a stranger who just fought off three grown men, she feels a strong urge to care for her. They chat about their differing views on life and survival. Selena then warns Irene about the harsh realities of life and questions why she never left and joined the esteemed Torre Chesme in Antica like she wanted. This is basically like a healer school or a healer college. Selena decided to train Irene in self defense so she can be prepared for the dangers lurking in the world. Then, while training, multiple men show up and they do not look friendly.
Then Irene hears this fighting between Selena and the other men, kind of seeking revenge from Selena whooping their butt earlier. And a man captures Irene, and Selena's kind of there and she's waiting. She's waiting to see Irene fight back. And Irene's like, I don't want to die. And then she realizes that Selena, she's like, is not going to save her. And so she fights back and she escapes the man about to kill her, while Selena then immediately in a second takes down the other guys. And Irene is pissed.
Mm-hmm.
She's pissed at Selena for not rescuing her. And they kind of go back and forth a little bit, but Selena's like, I mean, you're alive and you did it. And then Selena ends up leaving.
This is kind of like Selena's like morally gray compass. She wanted to teach Irene self defense, but she wanted Irene to save herself. And if she wasn't going to save herself, then she wasn't worth helping.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, right?
definitely something different. All right, chapter 6. Obviously, Irene is a bit shaken from the night's activities. Then she discovers a leather pouch containing gold coins and a note from Selena as a challenge. The gold should be enough to get her out of the tavern and into the Torre Chesme. Realizing this could change her life, Irene walks out of the inn to embrace her new life. Meanwhile, Selena is preparing to leave for Yerpa. She thinks about Irene and feels a connection to her. Selena leaves the money, note, and her brooch, hoping Irene can have her new beginning and prays she will take it and heal from the past. Then she sets sail.
And the brooch you're talking about is was a
It's
special
like that
brooch.
that special brooch. I think she gets them from Arobyn because Arobyn gets
Yeah.
her brooches, and it was like a special ruby brooch.
Hmm.
And it's expensive. So this is again where I think Selena felt a kinship to Irene because they both long for freedom. She longs for freedom outside of the Assassin's Guild, and Irene longs for freedom outside of the inn.
Yeah, so I think she kind of sees herself in Irene and, she's like, you can, it's basically almost like you can be like me. Like, you just need to toughen up. You need to
Mhm.
fight for yourself. You need to have the guts and courage to pursue what you want. And here I'm gonna help you now.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
butterfly, fly.
We've seen
Um,
a lot of different sides of Selena already in just these two parts. We've seen the cocky Selena, but then we also see she has morals, she has emotion, she does not like slaves. The slave trade is bad.
yeah.
And she wanted to help a defenseless woman defend herself.
Yeah. So while she's arrogant and like a character that you're like, you're a little annoying in how cocky you are. Yeah,
Mhm.
she has a sensitive side and she knows right from wrong and she won't cross that line. And even though she's an
I was
assassin,
gonna say, even though she murders people for money,
even though
but
she's an assassin, but she
there's a
kind of
line
mentions,
for everybody.
yeah, she mentions it a bit later on, but I mean, these are jobs that she picks herself. So she doesn't get assigned these. She only kills people who she agrees to, and
Mhm.
they're bad people typically. So,
Yeah. And that is the end of episode 1. Please let us know your thoughts, feelings, emotions on social media at Main Character Syndrome Pod. For now, to the readers who listen, we'll see you later.
Bye, everyone.